You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Pop Cultures Gamers podcast. My name's Haydn, and I'm on my own today. Another show doing a solo. Unfortunately, as some of you may already know, that Steve hasn't been too well. Unfortunately, we couldn't sync up calendars, and he is also trying to take things a little bit easier at the moment, so he's not here this week. So we all hope that he feels a lot better soon, but otherwise you've just got me, guys. So basic updates for this week. I must admit, I don't really have a lot. My personal life currently is a little bit up in turmoil, just because my mother-in-law's really ill. She fell while she was being nursed back to health in a care home, and broke a hip. She's had a replacement hip now, and she's currently recovering, but things aren't always plain sailing on those sort of things. So my wife and I and my brother and sister-in-law, we've all been sort of like rallying round and trying to be supportive. Obviously it's very difficult because of the distance that you have to have because of coronavirus and not really being allowed to go into hospitals, that sort of thing. But it is taking up a lot of our time, so that's another reason why we couldn't also sync up with Steve. Interestingly enough, I did, on another note, get a bit of a item today. This week, I actually got the PlayStation 4 back buttons. So I know you might be thinking, well, you've got a PlayStation 5 now, why are you worried about that? Well, I still play my PlayStation 4. I have that in the living room rather than in my dead area, and sometimes I just use it on the slightly bigger TV that we've got in the living room. But anyway, I will do a review of that, but I'll probably wait until the show when Steve's back so that we can discuss that piece of equipment. But I'll also try and do a video as well, just to show you guys what it's like in case you've never seen one. Alright, so that's it for gaming, from our week, but we'll go into gaming this week.
No longer a dream, but a reality.
Okay, so gaming this week, and we've got lots of news. First off, let's get the big one out of the way. Xbox and Bethesda. Bethesda's deal is finally done and are now owned by Xbox. There has been an interview which has featured, all of the key players in Xbox and Bethesda, with obviously Phil Spencer, talking a great deal about the future. And not every game is going to be exclusive because there are contractual agreements. But maybe that things will be on many things will be on multiple. Put my teeth in. I haven't got my teeth in today. Many things will be on multiple platforms in the future, especially where contractual or legacy exists. But this is about delivering great exclusives that shops on platforms where Game Pass exists, and that is their goal. So this is going to be really, really interesting, because one of the things that's always been thrown at Xbox for the last generation and for part of this generation is the fact that there is no exclusives. Well, don't forget that the Series X and the Series S are part of Xbox as a brand, and that they have Game Pass, as does the PC, and the exclusives is going to be, by the look of it, on Game Pass rather than per piece of equipment or machine. So finally, in a way, Microsoft will have more exclusives, but also kind of not as well. which is a bit of a shame because it would have been nice to have actually seen some proper Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S exclusives there as well. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But obviously, if you've been on Game Pass this week, then you will have hit the mother lode in terms of Bethesda games because a load have dropped. More about that shortly. Next thing is, someone's actually created a water-cooled PS5, and it does kind of like look cool in a funky kind of way. This is a Vietnamese hardware modder has built a custom water-cooled PS5 console and suggested that he'll soon make them available to buy. I can't really see, considering how much Sony went and did backflips over people creating changeable side panels for the PlayStation 5, that this is going to be allowed, but we'll have to wait and see. On March the 18th, there is a big Square Enix event with loads of updates, and this is going to be a world premiere of the all-new Life is Strange game. It's also going to feature details about Outriders, Marvel's Avengers, Tomb Raider 25th Anniversary, which I think was actually announced at some point. There was seen somewhere, and there were some reports about that. There is the new Square Enix Montreal games, Just Cause Mobile. Be quite interested to see how that works out. And Balan Wonderful. So interesting to see what all that's going to be about. It's on March the 18th, and it's going to be at 10 a.m. PDT or 5 p.m. GMT. So there's one for getting your diaries synced up. Also, some news from Rust developers. The Rust developer warns that a large amount of data loss has occurred during a devastating server blaze. This will impact 25 of the hit Stream Survival Games EU servers, which are now offline following a blaze at the OVH data centre in Strasbourg. The incident has destroyed one of the facility's buildings and damaged at least one other. All staff were able to evacuate, and fortunately there were no injuries reported. However, there is going to be a lot of data loss, and I believe that some people pay for private service, and they might have all gone as well. So, unfortunately, obviously, they didn't really look at the one key thing, which is whatever you do in terms of backup, which is ensuring that you have off-site storage for your backup. But there we go. So, interesting. If you play Rust, have you been, impacted by this? Let us know. We'd be interested to know what's happening with that game now. Another one is about shares in Roblox. So any of you who's got any children below the age of probably about 12 or 14 will be well familiar with the game Roblox. So this is an online gaming platform which has gone public, and on the first day of trading this Wednesday, Roblox shares rose by 54% from $45 a share to $60.50. The stock climbed another 6.3% the next day, closing at 73.9 million on the stock market. Roblox has 32.6 million daily active users at the end of 2020. That is an astronomical figure, and if you think this is a game that is basically free to play, everything is paid for by cosmetic items where kids can buy Roblox cards in Sainsbury's, Tesco, wherever it is that you shop, or subscribe to the service to have creators clubs because you can create your own games, all of that sort of thing, which is absolutely amazing. The number of players is up 85% from a year ago as well, and revenue jumped 82% in the year to 924 million. However, despite this, it has showed a net loss of $253 million versus $71 million loss net in the previous year, according to Roblox IPO filing. So that's really interesting. How on earth can a system where I know how much my child has spent on this of his pocket money over the last several years. How on earth can that be losing money? I just don't understand. Anyway, that's that for the news. So, new releases. We've got a few. We've got Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning on the Switch from the 16th of the 10th. Also on the 16th of the 10th is Samurai Showdown on the Xbox Series X. Stubbs the Zombie Rebel Without a Pulse on the Switch, PS4 and Xbox One. And Mundown on the PC, PS4 and Xbox One. On the 18th we have Cartel Tycoon on the PC, Marvel Avengers on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Hopefully that's the new update, so if you've already got that game, you might be able to get a free upgrade on there. Need to look into that because I've got that one myself. Minutes of Islands on the PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch. We've got Plant vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville on the Switch, and Returnal on the PS5. That's one I've been waiting for, and that's from the 19th of the 3rd. So, I'm looking forward to Returnal. We'll definitely be going back and having a look at Marvel's Avengers now that it's getting the upgrade, so that's all looking good. In terms of subscription games, we've got for Game Pass, there is a load of new games in here, and I bet you can't guess where some of these have come from. So, from March the 2nd, we've got Madden NFL 21 from EA Play, March 4th, Football Manager 2021, and also Football Manager 2021 Xbox Edition. On March 4th, also NBA 2K21, March the 12th, Dishonored Definitive Edition, Doom 1993, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 64, The Elder Scrolls Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition, The Evil Within, Fallout, Prey, Wolfenstein: A New Order, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, and on the 18th we've got Empire of Sin. On March the 18th we've got Star Wars Squadrons through EA Play. March 25th is Yakuza: The Song of Life. March 30th is Narita Boy, and then in April, to be confirmed, is NHL 21 on EA Play. So quite a few new good games in there, including a Star Wars game, all of that sort of stuff. So really worth playing. In terms of leaving Game Pass, we've got Alvastia Chronicles leaving on the 15th, Astrologaster on the 15th as well. If you're listening to this on Monday, I strongly advise Astrologaster. If you've an achievement hunter, that is a great one to get an easy 1000 achievements for. On March 15th, Bloodstains Ritual of the Night, also Corner, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So there's a load of games there that are leaving as well. On Epic, we've got at the moment the really great Surviving Mars. There is a way that you can actually cheat on this one by downloading mods and getting all of the achievements if you've got this on Xbox, but this is PC only, and obviously there is no achievements in terms of Epic Game Store anyway, but you can get that now up until the 18th of March at 3 PM. That's strange because I seem to have changed the times, because normally Epic have done 4:30, I think. And then the game that's coming next week is The Fall, which is quite an interesting little story game. I think you end up playing the AI in a spacesuit, which controls a spacesuit, if I remember rightly, and your inhabitant is a human that's in the suit, and that's available from March the 18th to the 25th. Gaming wise, I've got to admit, guys, I've not been playing much this week, just quite simply because of all of the things that have been going on in my life. I have actually, you won't believe this, guys, I've actually been playing Bethesda games. I've played Fallout 4, and I've also played Skyrim, both on the PC. So there we go. Yes, I have actually been playing them. What can I say other than I've played them? Still not my sort of games at all. But hey-ho, that's the way it goes. Okay, so that's the gaming discussion over for this week, and we're going to move on to movies, TV, and streaming.
In quest of a better life,
okay, not much news at the moment, so all quiet on the Western Front there. We're going on to Blu-ray and DVD titles. There is several titles that are coming out, but there's really not an awful lot at the moment. There is, if you like the old-fashioned Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast, on 4K, the 1991 version of the movie, that is being released 4K Blu-ray. Other than that, there is The Invisible Man and The Invisible Man versus The Human Fly, which I think are the old-fashioned versions of The Fly, and then there is A Little Mermaid in 4K, also being released. So if you like your high-quality movies, now's a chance to get them. Blu-ray and DVD charts at number 5, a new entry, we've got Restless Natives. At number 4, and rising up from number 21, is Coming to America. Interestingly enough, not Coming to America 2. Number 3, up from 5, is Harry Potter The Complete Collection. Number 2 is a re-entry, Forbidden Planet. And at number 1 is another re-entry, and it's Iron Man. Actually, thinking about the news, I did actually notice today reports that evidently, as we all know, the highest grossing movie at the cinema was evidently the last Avengers movie. Well, Avatar has retaken that crown. I'm not really sure where people are going to the cinema from. I assume cinemas must be open in America and other areas, but they're certainly not open in the United Kingdom at the moment. So, interestingly enough, that's reclaimed a title. It'll be interesting also to see, will Avatar 2, whenever that ever gets released, will that take the title from its originator? We all know the curse of sequels and how very often that they're nowhere near as good as the original. It's going to be interesting to see. Okay, moving on. In terms of what I've been watching, the main thing I've been watching this week has actually been something watched many moons ago, back in 2014 when this started, and that is I've been rewatching The Flash. God only knows why I've been watching The Flash, because while I've always enjoyed it, it's not something I've been particularly that bothered about revisiting, but I got the opportunity to start watching it, and I thought, oh, well, might as well. I was a bit bored, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's really nice to go back over a show that is so well established and the characters so massively developed, to actually see where they all came from. And I've got to admit, in terms of the production and looking at the very early episodes, it's one of those shows that actually still feels the same when you watch episode 1 as it does when you watch season 7, episode 1. It has that exact same feel to it, whereas a lot of shows mature over time. I'm thinking about the way that the like some of the Star Trek shows kind of went over time. The Next Generation didn't feel quite the same, from season 1, episode 1, as it did when you were getting to season 7. It had the focus was shifted slightly, I always felt. And the same with, everything like DS9, all of that sort of thing. Sometimes shows can feel much more removed from their origins and the way that they're portrayed. I also was watching Peep Show as well, and the only thing that they really changed there was the music, but it gave the show a whole different vibe from season 1 to season 2 onwards. So it was really interesting. But yeah, I would recommend, if you haven't rewatched any of the episodes of The Flash, there are some really good stories in there, right up from the beginning, season 1 onwards. Some great action in the show. I loved the whole thing that went on with Wells in there as well. I'd forgotten a lot of the sort of context in terms of all of that storyline, and of course, Barry Allen's father being incarcerated, all of that sort of stuff that went on in the show. It was really good. So, yeah, what can I say other than, give it a watch. It's really well worth it. Okay, well, do you know what? We're really whizzing through the show today, but I'm sorry about that. But unfortunately, we just we're having difficulty getting together at the moment, and all of that with Steve. So we're just going to move on to our listener questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, listener questions, and as always, we've got Mark starting off with us, and he's asking, how often do you game with a headset on? Do you play games online much? Well, Mark, I'm going to say for the last... How long? For the last 18 months, I don't think I've played at all with a headset on, unless I've been playing online and needed to talk to people. And the reason being is my den now, my man cave, whatever it is that you want to call it. I call it a den, my wife calls it a man cave. That the whole area is separated from the rest of the building by quite thick walls, and not massively, about a 1.25 metre wide, couple of rooms that separate the area that I'm in from the rest of the house. Plus, there's also a thick door there as well, because my den is in the converted garage, and it is properly converted. It's not, we've just, blocked up the garage door and that's it. This is, really properly done. The floor's raised in here. There is like 10 inches worth of insulation going around the room, all of that sort of stuff. And, underneath the floor's raised by about 1.5 foot, something like that, from the concrete of when it was a garage. So there is a big, it is a proper sort of area. But what all of that has done is basically meant that I have now got a den that is, I can make as much noise as I like, because all I do is close the door to the main house, and it's very difficult to be able to hear anything that's going on in the den, and likewise for me to hear anything that's going on in the house. So it works really, really well for me. The only time that it doesn't is when I'm playing multiplayer games. But if I'm playing a multiplayer game on my PS5, I don't need to do that, because I've got the microphone in the controller as well. It's an innovation. I thought when I saw it, I thought, what a stupid idea. And since seeing it in action and using it, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, so I don't play, with headsets off, and also on rather, and also it would completely take away from the whole point of me having on my games consoles Dolby Atmos playing through as well. So no, I'm headphones off 95% of the time. When I do play with headsets on, it is solely because I'm playing multiplayer. And even then, if I'm playing PC multiplayer, I've got a Jabra speaker, which I will use, which also has a microphone built in, and I'll use that to it's a noise cancelling sort of speaker and microphone combination. I use them at work. I say I use them at work. I used one at work when, back in the day before COVID, we were all in physical buildings. If I was having a meeting and people were dialing in, I would use a Jabra speaker to assist in part of that if they were Skyping into the call or into the meeting. So yeah, that's how I do it at the moment. So okay, next question is, what game has given you the best online experience? I'm sure that Steve will say exactly the same thing, and it's because of the number of hours that we've poured into it, but I'm going to say Destiny 1 and 2, particularly probably 2 now, although when we were playing Destiny 1 and it was Steve, Chris and myself, they are very cherished sort of memories when we were playing basically every night for 2 or 3 hours a night, and we were going to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning, all of that sort of thing. Really missed those days, actually. But obviously we're all getting older and we can't cope with it quite as much these days. But yeah, definitely Destiny 2. And also playing with, everybody else who I've played with. Absolutely loads of people on Destiny, including Craig, Dave, and everybody else. Really, had some really great nights. Another great game for playing multiplayer online as well is Rainbow Six Siege. Had some really good games with Gavin and Dan and everyone on there, and it was just so hilarious, some of that, because obviously friendly fire is enabled in that game as well, and you can have just such a laugh when one of you sneaks up behind the other when you're on the same team, and you get a shock and then you end up shooting your squad mate. It's just hilarious. But yeah, definitely Rainbow Six Siege is another one that's really good for multiplayer. Okay, let's move on to Albert Manafee. And Albert doesn't have a question, but he does say, just a hearty get well soon for Steve. So there's another one there for you, Steve. Paul Wilson, if money was no object, would you buy a gold-plated latest gen games console? He spotted some online starting from a mere £8,299, and a get well soon for Steve as well. I mean, wow, I had a look at the link that he provided on the Facebook page for this, and to be honest, I don't even like the look of them. I just think that they look really quite sort of, for want of a better term, cheap. I know that they're not cheap, but actually the platinum one was the one that looked the best, which you could obviously get by, like a sort of like highly polished metal other than platinum as well. But I would go for the platinum because that was a mere £8,499 instead. But no, I don't think I could ever pay more money than one of the cheapest second-hand cars you can buy on the market. First-hand cars on the market. So no, I just think it's a ridiculous price. Why would you? It's just being ostentatious for the sheer hell of it. Okay, Adrian Parker has asked, do you think that maybe you're too old to game? He's 52 and occasionally it's crossed his mind. He says, I know that the average age of a gamer is in the mid-30s, but do you think that you'll still be doing this in your 60s and beyond? P.S. Get well soon, Steve. If you're talking about gaming, I think that my wife or the Undertaker, whoever, will probably praise out of my dead rigor mortis hands a games controller of some description or a mouse or something like that, because I cannot imagine me ever giving it up. I can imagine the type of games I play as being what changes. So, it's like nowadays I'm not so hot on the racing games. I just don't enjoy them anymore. I can imagine a lot of the first person shooters like Call of Duty, that sort of stuff. I've been migrating away from them, but the last round of them, they did sort of make it an online-only multiplayer, and I just wasn't into that at all. I like story-based games, that sort of stuff. I think the older that you get, it becomes increasingly more difficult to go into somewhere like game because of the immediate sort of assessment of things, or of you as your age and all of that sort of thing. And you're saying that you want to, have you got this game? And if you've got your son there, they immediately say, well, that's an 18 game, he can't play it. It's not for him, it's me. That sort of stuff. I just that gets on my nerves a little bit, which is why I tend to buy most of my games now online, or digital copies, one or the other, rather than actually going to shops, because also I just find the way that they hunt you down and then just keep saying, can I help you, is like like you shouldn't even be in the shop. I really hate that at all. I just want when I look at them and say, can you help me? I was playing video games before you were even a thought, a twinkle in your father's eye, no, I don't think that you can help me at all on that game or on any advice on what games to play. But I think that there is a judgment on guys of our age that is, you don't play games, but there's nothing the matter with that. It's a hobby. Why is it any different to anything else? If you went into a shop to buy bait for fishing, is there a day when you would find yourself too old to do that as a hobby? I would probably say not. So why is this any different? It's not like you're, climbing Mount Everest or anything like that. But, well, then again, look at Brian Blessed at his age, and he's still climbing Mount Everest every now and again. So, no, I think it's age is a state of mind, not a state of being, especially in things that are not high-impact sports. So, yeah. No, I'm still intending on playing games and, until I'm 70 or 80. I don't really care what other people think. As long as I'm getting enjoyment out of it, I'm not harming anyone, so why does it matter? Okay, Craig Cole, he's asked, whatever happened to face scanning your own face in games? Rainbow Six Siege and Rainbow Six rather, and PGA had it. You would think that mobile phones, everyone could do it and save it as a profile so games could use it if you wanted. I think you've got a good point there, to be honest, Craig. I think there's very few games where you can actually put your own face in. I think that I seem to remember one that tried one recently, and when I say recently, I mean in the last 10 years. Because Rainbow Six was about 2007, 2008, something like that. It was quite a long time ago. But I seem to remember one that was, if you had a camera, you moved your head around and it sort of built a picture. I'm not thinking of Kinect Adventures, if anybody's thinking I'm meaning that. Although I think that one did have that technology in it as well. Certainly did for your body shape. I'm sure it did for your face as well. Although the results were never anything that looked spectacularly like me when I tried it. So, yeah, I think it would be a good idea because it would make it a much more personal. But then again, thinking about like Steve likes playing female characters in a lot of games. I think one of his Destiny characters is female. I never ever associate or never ever use a female character unless that is the character. Like, for example, Lara Croft. Obviously, you're not going to change Lara Croft to be a male character because you can't. Lara Croft's Lara Croft. But no, I think it'd be a good idea. I think more games developers should put that sort of technology involved. But obviously, I think the main things that you've probably got there is difference in interpretations about how that would work. I mean, it wasn't like you, but Xbox tried that with the avatars, and they still are trying it in some cases with the avatars, but you could get like Doritos Crash Course 1 and 2, where it took your Xbox game avatar and it put it in that game. And then there was also Kingdom for Keflings as well. Granted, that's not your likeness, but it was the avatar that you specified. And the reason why that worked is because the avatar was a modelling system as of itself. Whereas you go from game to game, then the developers at EA will want a certain standard for building your face, but you go over to Ubisoft and they'll want something else. So I think that that's probably why it's never really taken off big time. And plus the fact now, unless you're streaming from your console, do people really have cameras on there? I mean, I know that you would do if you've got PSVR. You're going to do on a PC if you've, if you use it for any form of communication or, at all, and you do streaming, then you're probably going to have a webcam on there. But are you going to really have that on your Xbox Are you really, is most people going to have that on the PlayStation? I'm suspecting not. I think that there's very limited usage for the PlayStation camera. I don't think it can do an awful lot for you, and likewise on the Xbox. So yeah, good questions, guys. Really enjoyed those. Hope you enjoyed my views on some of those. Anyway, if you want to get in contact with me, you can get in contact with me on basically all platforms, just about as HERJ UK. If you want to get in contact with me on the Epic Game Store, though, it's Pop Culture Gamers. The show's contacts are Twitter at Pop Culture Gamer, Facebook group. We also have a Facebook page. You can look and see both of those. If you've got any anything you want to contact us about by email, you can do so at podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. And of course, don't forget our website where you can download the shows if you're not subscribed on other platforms is anchor.fm/popculturegamers. Also, please have a visit to our YouTube page and like and subscribe to videos on there. Particularly subscribe because we're still a few people short for being able to get the name properly for our YouTube channel, but as soon as we hit that magic number, I'll be able to give it out properly rather than an incomprehensible string of letters and numbers. I really don't know why, after you've got only just a couple of subscribers, I don't allow you to name it much more quicker. But anyway, if you can do that, it would be really, really help us out. Like so, I think we only need about 14 or 15 more subscribers, and then we'll be at that magic number to be able to to name the channel properly. So yeah, please do that. Also, thinking about the last show as well, I've had no one contact us about if anyone's got any copies of White Noise Online, the old show for Nats. If you do have a copy of that, please let me know. Please forward it on, or share a link or whatever with it. We've got all of Nat's other appearances, as you know. Mark Armstrong, also known as Nats, he passed away. We're just trying to get together a list of everything for his wife and family, so that they can, have those memories of him and re-listen to his old shows. But the ones that we've not been able to get is the White Noise Online. We've got the YouTube channel that doesn't have all of the videos on there. So please, if you do have a copy of White Noise Online podcast from, many years ago when Nats did it, please let me know. Please share it with us so that we can share it with the family. That would be really, really tremendously helpful. And again, thanks to all of you guys who have got in contact and told us about that. I've passed on the details to Debs, who's Mark's wife, and she was really very grateful to everybody. Okay, so that's it for another week, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully we'll all be back, and we'll be able to have a good chat then. Also, just a thought as well, quick shout out to Alan. Alan, hope you're well. Keep in contact with us, mate. All right, see you all later, guys. Take care. Bye.